Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one we have so many fun things to talk about with what is going to be happening in Season 6 and what is going on right now. And specifically, we're going to be going through a bunch of clues and theories, trying to explain how Dark Bomber is connected to the Fortnite world and the cube and what is going on with that, as well as the possible Season 6 theme and stuff like when exactly the cube is going to be done, and also a bunch of other things and clues that I think you guys will really enjoy and definitely need to hear. So yeah guys, it's going to be a super fun video. Be sure to hit that like button down below if you are excited for Season 6. I know I am. It is just around the corner. And on top of that, be sure to comment your favorite part of Season 5. Is it Dusty Diner? The gravity fields that show up with Kevin? Whatever it is, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. But without further ado here, let's jump into it. First of all, talking about when exactly the update is going to happen, and also where and what is going to happen with the cube. And guys, depending on when you're watching, this update may have already happened. And if that's the case, this stuff coming up is still super important and talks about what exactly is going to be happening in Season 6. But still, for right now, as we can see with the cube, we know exactly where it is going to finish, and just judging by the path it has made so far, it is going to be done in like a couple days or a few days. So yeah, let's take a look here in like theater mode. Let's go up above and see exactly where all of the runes have been placed. And unfortunately guys, we still haven't deciphered if the runes actually stand for anything. I feel like we should have been able to figure that out. I really doubt they wouldn't just be random text, but I think Epic Games may have made that one a little bit too hard. But either way, that's not what we're talking about. Take a look at where exactly these runes are. So in a previous video, we had theorized that they would be making a septagon type pattern with like 7 different runes, and then be located, and then in the center of them was Loot Lake, and that's exactly where it would be going. Well, that changed a little bit. As you can see, Kevin is actually placing down the runes in the shape of a 3D cube itself. Like if you connect the lines right here, it makes a cube, which is super interesting on its own. Kevin making a cube. But that then means that the last rune should be around up here in this general area. That itself isn't that big of a deal, but according to certain things and stuff, it should show up there, and that should be the final rune that is going to be placed. Now then, when exactly is that going to happen? Well, this rune is probably going to be placed on Sunday or Monday, early Monday, I would guess. Just judging by how fast Kevin has actually been. He's been gaining speed, I believe. He's been going around the map even faster placing these runes. And if he then places that on Sunday or Monday, that's where it starts to get super interesting, because then he should finish his path, as has been rumored, at Loot Lake. The rumored spot that he's apparently going to end up is like right around this area near Loot Lake. But just judging by how fast the cube has already been moving, if he places that rune there, then moves over to Loot Lake, that'll probably happen at around Tuesday, which would be the time for a brand new update to be released in Fortnite. That's right guys, updates are generally released on Tuesday, and the timeline kind of seems to sync up to that. It's possible Kevin could be done a little bit before Tuesday and then like charge up and explode or something like that, like his runes are done, so he's gonna blow things up, and we'll talk about that more in just a sec here. But there's also the fact that on Fortnite's Twitter, they said something about an update coming up that sounds pretty interesting. Now specifically, this tweet had to do with the getaway game mode, which as you guys know is a limited time mode, and it's going to be actually going away pretty soon. So if you didn't know that itself is some useful information, because it's going to be around for about a few more days we expect. But within this tweet, they say specifically the getaway LTM has switched back to squads. Call the crew and complete those challenges now before high stakes ends next week with the update. Now that itself doesn't sound too interesting, right? But if you take a look at it, why would they say with the update? Generally when they do this, like this limited time mode will be around, they'll usually just say like it'll be around for a few more days. Or like in this tweet, they could have said high stakes ends next week. But they specifically said with the update, so I'm thinking that this update that they're talking about is going to be a pretty huge one. And if it is on Tuesday and lines up generally with how fast the cube has been moving, I definitely think that we're going to be getting all of the crazy stuff that has been rumored happening with the cube, or some event happening on Tuesday. So yeah guys, that's what I think the cube is going to be done. But let's jump into it with what exactly the cube is going to be doing, and then what then like the Dark Bomber officially means. So real quick, we're going to go through some of the stuff with like the lava and the volcano, and I know a lot of you have probably already heard that, so we're not going to spend too much time, but it is still important because it connects with Dark Bomber and why exactly she is coming and who exactly she is and what that means for the other characters on the map. Are we going to get other doppelgangers and stuff like that? That's the stuff I'll try to explain right here, how it's all connected. So yeah, guys, it's pretty obvious that something with a volcano or lava is going to be happening, and it's expected that Loot Lake is going to be replaced with lava, and that's why Kevin is going there. He's gonna, like, you know, just absolutely destroy the area, which does make sense. When Epic Games, you know, makes big changes to the map, it's generally to parts that aren't traveled to very much. Like, we got Tilted Towers where there was basically nothing there. Dusty Depot changed into Dusty Divot because not a ton of people went there. Some people said they did, but honestly, it was a pretty blank area. And honestly, Loot Lake, compared to the other areas, probably is not that popular, considering how large it is as well. On top of that, there's also been a bunch of files found for, like, lava, even like a volcano pit, I think, something like that. And on top of that, if you take a look in the week 10 loading screen, it's not really the week 10 loading screen, it's kind of just a general one you get by finding the other bonus weekly things in the loading screens. But Dark Bomber has a volcano on her. So again, you may already know that, but that's just to confirm that this is probably going to turn into like a lava lake. And considering lava isn't the friendliest thing, I think we can confirm that the cube is sort of this evil force that something is going to have to fight. On top of that, I definitely think that Dark Bomber might be the one in control of it all. I don't think it's a coincidence that the week 10 loading screen, she has a dragon on her and also the volcano. I think that's all super important. I don't think Epic Games would just put that in to just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna add some lava. I think it all means something, and the bigger thing that I think it means in terms of what exactly the theme of Season 6 is, it's gotta be doppelgangers in alternate timelines. I mean, come on guys, that makes so much sense. First of all, it just seems like the perfect idea for an interesting story to have like evil versions of the good versions of things in Fortnite. Like with Bright Bomber, you have her doppelganger being the Dark Bomber, stuff like that. But on top of that, it fits in with the timeline. Going back to when they really started to add things into the game, it started with the meteors, and then the superheroes was the theme of that season, kind of, you know, fighting the villains, stuff like that. And then with the season after that, after the visitor sort of put that big crack in the sky and messed with the entire map itself, that then brought in the theme of like sort of time travel. You had Ragnarok and Drift, or more specifically Worlds Collide. That was the theme of it, you know, connecting the past with the present, you know, our world with Drift coming from, again, real life into Fortnite. But I think the next logical step, since the rifts and stuff are still pretty huge in the game, I'm thinking that alternate timelines are what's going to be happening. And again, that makes sense with Dark Bomber, but also the Lava Loot Lake. I'm definitely thinking that the Dark Bomber is coming from her world, which is basically like the opposite of the Fortnite world, and she's happening to come through the rifts and stuff like that. As you remember, the cube showed up with the enforcers and specifically showed up through a pink rift. Not just a blue rift, which connects people in our timeline with stuff in the past and the present, but a pink rift, a different colored rift, I think is a clue that signifies that they're coming from a different timeline entirely. And I mean, you've seen this type of thing in a bunch of shows, like The Flash messes with different timelines and things. I'm not going to get into the details of that because it's super confusing. And I think Fortnite will have a simplified version here with the Dark Bomber trying to come in and, you know, change the world around a little bit with a cube. However then, why exactly is Bright Bomber here? Let's try and explain that a little bit. Again, with some theories, we don't know for sure yet. Just trying to make sense of what exactly is going on in the mind of Epic. But just judging by how apparently Dark Bomber's home world seems to be covered in lava. I mean, taking a look at her shirt again, it has the volcano on it, and if Loot Lake is going to be turned into lava, it would make sense that Dark Bomber comes from an area where maybe it's not as easy to live in as our current world. So that would be her motive for trying to come into, again, our Fortnite world. It gets a little bit confusing with these alternate timelines, but maybe the lava's like, you know, taking over their world so they can't live there anymore. So her goal is to try and use the cube as a way to get into our world and, you know, maybe change some things around. Maybe she's not doing the lava on purpose, but it's just a side effect of, you know, actually teleporting or getting transferred through different timelines. You know, some stuff will happen to come with it. On top of that, there's also the fact that there's a dragon on her shirt as opposed to the llamas, which I don't know, maybe that means we'll be getting loot dragons. That would be so dope. Could you imagine that, loot dragons? Leave your comments down below on what you think would be in those. They'd be like the ultimate versions of loot llamas, I would have to say. But also, dragons are connected with castles generally, and if you remember in that previous promotional piece from Fortnite's Twitter, we took a look at how there might be a castle in the background and how this could too maybe be brought from their timeline into ours. Now still, that's a retro castle, and Dark Bomber seems to be fairly futuristic because she looks pretty much exactly like Bright Bomber, and their clothes aren't from like the past, that's for sure. But still, could be a side effect and those could be brought in with her. And then on top of that, it does also make sense that Dark Bomber could be behind this because she just has this look on her face like she's got something planned, like she's this evil villain and she's trying to make this stuff happen. I mean, obviously the cube has a plan. It's going in this very specific pattern. It's not just moving around randomly. It has something planned, and I think Dark Bomber is behind that plan. And again, we'll probably seeing exactly what that is around Tuesday. And also that's pretty interesting because the season countdown, or the battle pass countdown more specifically, has about 10 or so days left on it, which, considering that, there's probably going to be around 6 or 7 days depending on when the timer actually switches on Tuesday. So there's room for a lot more stuff to happen before this season is actually over and season 6 actually begins. And if you remember, that time before the next season is generally when things start to get insane. So I think we'll start to see more proof of what exactly is going to be happening super soon. But then with like other things that could be happening with the alternate timelines, I don't think it's far-fetched to see other versions of characters. I mean, is Dark Bomber really going to be the only one behind this? I really doubt it. So we'll probably be seeing more of that. Maybe a dark version of Drift. That's kind of unlikely because he is such a new skin. But like some of the other ones that were shown in the loading screen, they could have interacted with the cube as well. And since it is an alternate timeline, there's bound to be alternate versions of every single character that we have. So it's just a matter of who actually, you know, got transferred into our timeline along with Dark Bomber herself. But yeah, on top of that, there's also what is Dark Bomber going to do after she arrives besides doing the lava stuff? That I think is too far out to really come up with a good theory for. And I mean, definitely waiting for Tuesday at least to see what exactly the cube will do will probably be our best bet on seeing what's going to happen then. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and enjoyed these theories. Again, they are just theories, but I think some of them are pretty likely. But be sure to subscribe for more. Check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left, 7 amazing new tricks to use in game, and the week 10 challenges guide on the right. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.